Can't do a cat noise for a player. Oh, I just ruined doing the intro for myself. I can't stop laughing.
Make that thing purr.
So,
first down, goes to the sidelines, has a man wide open.
Reminds me of last year in the Garden against St. John. And guys just stepped up. Blake hits a what the hell three. You know, we're like, what are you doing? And he's done that all year.
Klicka out to Bizzario. It's over. The Pitt Panthers have upset Wisconsin. Anybody if he hits his field goal. Up and got it. Sauls does it again.
what is up, everybody? Welcome back to Simplify Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Kaminsky. I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Mason Kling, Kent Vanderwood. We've got a big show ahead of you. We're talking basketball. We're talking football. We're talking college football playoff. We're talking transfer portal. We're bringing in a special guest in the middle of the episode to rip off how Pardon My Take does it and talk about volleyball. And before I ask you guys how you're doing, I just want to say thank you to everyone who listened to the volleyball episode. It is currently our number one most downloaded episode of all time. People love Pitt Volleyball, and I'm glad that everyone fucking liked the episode. So shout out to everyone. Mason, how you doing tonight?
Zach, great job with the volleyball episode. Very, very cool listen as always.
Hell yeah, dude.
I'm doing well. Ready for bowl season. Tiger Hate Week was a bit lackluster. Just a little bit of growing pains. Just a little bit of growing pains. But we're doing all right. Moving on.
Well, I hope you kill the tiger because that's the only way to get the real Tiger Hate Week aggression out. They're an endangered species, and by God, we're helping that out.
They make the coolest rugs, though. They make the coolest rugs.
Kent, how are you doing in your complete tiger fur, sort of like a onesie I'm looking at? Assless chaps included. How we doing?
We're doing all right, man. Last week I said beat the Tigers and beat the Tigers. We did not beat the Tigers or the Tigers. So in that regard, the way I left off, not necessarily coming in hot this week, but we'll talk through it.
Let's just get straight into it. Let's eat our veggies, as Mason said. The last week that was in Pitt basketball, first on Tuesday, they lose to Missouri 71-64 at home. And then on Sunday, they lost to Clemson 79-70 at home as well. All right. As always, we'll start in chronological order. Missouri 71, Pitt 64. This one was a stinker, I think, is what I came away from this game.
Kent, floor's yours.
I was going to say, man, it's sometimes after you lose two tough ones in a row, it's kind of hard to even think back to the first one. My mind is just so locked in on that Clemson game. But yeah, either way, just poor week overall. Just two disappointing losses. We start out with, a lot of expectations, going into this Missouri game. We talked about it, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago, just about this stretch that we were about to enter with this Missouri game. The Oregon State, the Florida, we're sort of in the middle of that, and it's overall been disappointing so far. But yeah, bouncing back from, after a pretty dominant win over Oregon State, trying to just keep that momentum going, to lose to Missouri by, 7 ultimately, but it just
in
never
in a game we were favored too. Is tough.
It's just
in a big way.
Yeah. It wasn't just a pick 'em kind of game. This was one that we were supposed to take care of business, and we didn't. It was if Blake Hinson hadn't shot so well from three, this would have been one of the worst kind of shooting performances that we have. You have Zach Austin was only 1 for 3. Bub was only 1 for 7. And Ish Leggett was 0 for 5 in this game. Team total of 28% from three. A lot of that coming from Hinson. Tough to win. Tough to win when it's only coming from one guy. I think we're getting a little bit of Bub Carrington. When we started the season, there was no scouting report on him. Teams didn't really know quite how to defend him yet. He's now like the main topic of scouting reports, and I think it's catching up to him a little bit. Seeing that in both these past two games.
Yeah. No, sorry.
I just want to talk about Bub first. Like, it's a little bit of scouting him and seeing like what his weaknesses are. Like, teams have been able to figure out that if you press him, he's liable to turn the ball over. We saw that a lot in the Missouri game, especially when they were building that lead at the end. But I think when you're talking about scouting reports, the thing that started to hurt them in the Florida game, and it showed up in the Missouri game, and it definitely showed up in the Clemson game, is Federico at the 5.
Of course, I gave him his flowers in those kind of gimme games early in the year, and now he's shown his true colors again.
Yeah, and before we get to that, like kind of going off your point, Mason, I think part of it is with Bub Carrington, some scouting. Part of it is he seems to maybe be trying to do too much sometimes, which is leading to a decent number of turnovers for him too. So some growing pains there with him. I think he was like, oh, I can be the man on this team. All these NBA teams are coming to see me. I want to try and make an amazing play each possession. When sometimes you just got to make the smart play, and it might not be the flashiest play, but you got to play smart basketball. So I think there's going to be a little bit of learning and adjustment from him there too, because it does feel like sometimes he's trying to do too much.
Yeah, which is like typical young guy. Like that's what happens with young players. So it's not like something that I'm worried about. I think Cape will get him right, but you're 100% right. I couldn't agree more with that, Ken.
Yeah.
But with Zach, you said something about Federico at the 5. Give me your take on what you've seen from him.
I mean, obviously teams know that if Fetty's down low, his ball handling still isn't great. He's liable for 1 or 2 pretty flashy plays a game, but on the whole, he does tend to turn the ball over down there. He doesn't finish shots very well from right under the rim, which is a problem for is he 6'10", a 6'10" big man?
It's something like the 6'10", 6'11".
Something like that, yeah. And then, the thing is, and we knew this going into the season, it kind of showed its head in the Florida game, but it really, really hurt them in the Missouri game, is he still cannot hit a free throw when it matters. He can hit them when the game is early, but once that clock starts ticking, it's just he does not – he's not very good at it. They don't have the free throw percentage up on the ESPN page, but I remember like late in the game, I think it was either before Blake brings it within 2 or just after. I can't remember which, but right after that, Missouri scores, and then Fede, like it was either Fede or Blake, and they go like 1 for 2 or 0 for 2 on free throws, and then that's how that Missouri game was lost. They still had a chance, even though they were pretty much out physical the whole game, and they were getting tired, like you can tell. The free throws were not sinking, and then the lead just grew to a point where it was too late to basically bring it back.
It's funny you mentioned that in the Missouri game, because that kind of was that specific play was out of my head. But there was a very similar. It happened in the Clemson game too, where we brought it. Hinson brought it back close, and Fetty gets fouled, goes to the line, doesn't just miss him, he bricks too. He bricks both of them, and then I think following that, Ish missed a 3, Like it was just coming down to the wire. We just didn't have. We didn't have shot makers.
Yeah, no, it's coming. It's all coming back. It's all flooding back.
Right.
But Missouri, we had that scoring drought that lasted forever. We didn't hit a field goal. Nobody could hit water from a boat. Like it was bad.
Wasn't it like it was almost like 10 minutes where
it was one of those
we scored, but it was like foul shots.
Basketball 5 years ago. Like it was something that it was one of those stretches that we used to have all the time when Pitt basketball was unwatchable. But it's guys were getting good looks. Ish Leggett had a couple open threes. You know, even with all these misses, like they were still in this game. Couple clutch threes that could have made a huge impact. Just open looks from good shooters that we know are capable of making that shot. Weren't even close. Ish Leggett comes to mind with 2 particular threes on passes from Carrington that were good. Just missed. And then there was like an alley-oop from Carrington that Fede missed. There was just a lot of like very makeable plays that we know this team and we know the athletes on this team are capable of making, and they were just could not. So you didn't know if it was like a confidence thing, like, you know, it was just getting in their head that they were shooting poorly. I don't know, as basketball players that, you know, like if you know you can shoot well, like keep shooting, keep the confidence up. Like they're going to fall sometime. But if, you know, if it's in your head, like, oh, I've already missed these, like I'm not going to make this one, like it's just going to affect the rest of the game. And that seemed to kind of be what happened with this whole team in this game in the second half. And they were taking a lot, like even like shooters shoot, like keep shooting. But if you're not making stuff and you know you're not going to keep making stuff, like they were just not taking the ball to the rim as much as they should. They kept trying to shoot threes. They were, I don't know, frustrating game overall to watch from an offensive standpoint.
I will say, when you talk about not bringing it to the rim, right? That guy 75 who looked like if you took a caveman and stretched him out to be a 7-foot guy, it's like that guy was made in a lab to fuck up the Pitt offense. Like they just couldn't do anything down low when he was on the court. And then, you know, when the shots weren't falling, it just kind of made everything worse. They were trying to create these ridiculous shots, or, you know, they would take these wide open shots and not hit them. I guess, do you guys think that the physicality of Missouri, because you could tell Missouri was being a very physical team with Pitt, especially on the defensive, when they were on defense, right? Do you think that kind of contributes to the late game struggles they had in this game? Like, were they just outworked? And like, one of the things about Missouri is they were talking about on the broadcast, right? They had 12 players play. Pitt had 9.
I was going to say, it was, I don't know if it's a physicality thing as much as it was a fatigue thing.
Yeah.
When we're rotating, I mean, really 7 guys, we'll kind of throw 8 in there. But it's really, we got guys playing minutes. And anytime you get fresh legs in there, you feel it when you're playing a pickup basketball game, or like if you ever play like intramural and they bring fresh legs in and you're gassed, it's the worst. Yeah, you're going to play sloppy. You're going to turn the ball over and get out rebounded. So, but it's hard because what do you do about that? You want to have your best players on the floor. We have some really dynamic players. We got to get the ball in their hands. It's like a double-edged sword. I don't know. I don't have an answer.
Yeah, I mean, Missouri had 1 player who logged over 30 minutes. Pitt had 4. The only one who didn't was Federico. And I mean, because when you think about substitutes, right? Like you can put in Jeffries if you need a defensive adjustment. You can kind of roll the dice with a Diaz-Graham twin. You know they're sort of a defensive liability, but sometimes they're on for points. And then Lowe can switch out with one of the guards, and that's really the extent of the depth on this team, with Papa Conte being out and the third freshman is redshirting. His name escapes me.
Yeah, and I don't know. Can we talk about like the Clemson game in particular for a minute? Like,
yeah. So you guys take the lead on this one. I was actually in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania during this game, so I was not able to catch any of it. So
very nice.
Where's yours?
I was actually at this game. I traveled to Pittsburgh for the weekend, and went to this game super frustrating. Like you said, you want to get the bench players involved, but Clemson game, we had 0 points from anybody on the bench. So it's tough to keep those guys in. Jeffers played 12 minutes, no points. Guillermo Diaz-Graham played 11 minutes, no points. Jalen Lowe, 9 minutes, no points. Jorge didn't even play in this game. The problem with the Twins recently, in those early games, they're knocking down the threes. Recently, they're not hitting those threes, and they're not a physical threat down low against some of these big centers that we've been playing, namely the guy on Missouri. But PJ Hall had a good game, was shooting the ball well from deep too for Clemson. So when you get a good physical center that can shoot from outside, it's another threat that you have to cover outside. It opens up the offense so much more. So when you bring in the Twins and they're not hitting those threes, it makes it a lot easier on the defense. Jalen Lowe he started out shooting the ball poorly at the beginning of the season. Then he started getting hot. He's cooled off again. He hasn't been shooting the ball very well again off the bench. So they're not having that production from the bench, and it's putting a lot more pressure on the starters to play more minutes, play tired, and maybe take some bad shots in the second half too. So
I knew that we didn't give those guys a lot of minutes, but until I looked at the box score here, I didn't really even realize that we quite literally got 0 production from them as well. They're just a warm body out on the court. So that's tough.
Yeah.
Over under, or what? Ken, you were at the game.
Yeah.
What do you think we shot percentage-wise from the free throw line?
So big things in this game. Obviously free throws atrocious. I think we probably missed at least 10 free throws.
You're spot on, sir. You're spot on.
Okay, I didn't watch the game.
They missed 10. I'll say they were like 15 for 25 or something. Were they?
Okay, missed 10, if that's spot on. I didn't watch the game at all, so this is a total guess. 33%.
Not quite that bad. We were 12 of 22.
Okay, I said 15 and 25.
50. I mean, that's bad.
Yeah, it was atrocious. And
in a game where I know the box score, we lost by 9 points. In a game that was a hell of a lot closer than that, 54% from the line. That's
10 points in a game where you lose by 9. That's the simplest thing to say.
Yeah, Pitt. Dude, this game was so frustrating. We managed to sit in the only section of the arena where there was Clemson fans around us. So great job to my former roommate for selecting the seats there. If you're listening to this, whatever. But yeah, it was. They looked good early. Kind of ended the half on not a great note. I think what were we down at half, like 4 or something? I need to look at the box score. Yeah, but it was one of those games. A lot of problems early, just disappointing into the half. Second half kind of got away from us for a bit. Had the energy, had the fans behind you when he started to come back. Blake Hinson was on fire in this game. Hit a number of threes. The other killer in this game, defensively, freaking Joe Girard was just lighting us up from 3, and we kept leaving him open. And the fans in the arena were getting super frustrated by every time you would just see him just flash wide open. Part of that might be fatigue. They were setting good screens. Like, they were running good plays to get him open, but we were not just, like, I don't know, boxing one on that guy. Like, he was easily the biggest threat on their offense against us. He was not missing. He had all the confidence in the world to hit every single shot. So that was super frustrating on the defensive side. Free throws, obviously. And then, even when we came back, I will say, from my perspective, it was Blake Hinson had hit a number of threes in a row, on fire, coming down to crunch time. You don't get him the ball once the last few minutes of the game. You don't pass him the ball once. You pass the ball to Federico at the top of the key. The one time he pulls through, drives to the rim, gets fouled, bricks 2 free throws.
They were so bad. They were so bad, dude.
Bricks 2 free throws so badly that the Clemson fan woman behind me goes, "Oh my God, that was awful."
Oh God.
She goes, "Oh my God, they have him in right now?" Like, it was that bad that the Clemson fans were like, "I can't believe this guy is this bad at free throws." So yeah, I would say, like, coming down to the wire, as bad as some of the other stuff was, it's like, bro, if this guy is this hot, you give him the ball. You don't give it to your center that has consistently shown he's not good at shooting free throws. Also, if you're Federico, I don't know why you're taking the ball to the rim. If you know you're not going to hit those free throws, you're playing a physical defense. PJ Hall's not going to just let you lay it in.
I just can't, like you said, there's the game's like rushing back to me. And I also remember, I don't remember which guard it was, if it was Leggett or Carrington, but dribble drive at the end of the game. I think it was still when we were down by 2. The dribble drive gave Fetty a nice dish, and he was just like, he was right under the rim, and it wasn't. I felt like I was watching Ben Simmons again. Like he didn't go up strong. He, as soon as he saw there was a defender close by, he couldn't get the ball out of his hands quick enough. Like he wasn't positioned right on the drive to score, and that's quite literally the only place that Fetty can score. So you better be ready to score when you're 2 feet below the basket.
Yeah.
One other thing that was frustrating me with him.
I do want to bring up a point that I've kind of been thinking about. I've been sort of stewing this idea in my head of what I like to call the Capel Classic, where somehow the team always gets about this close late in the game, and then they shut down, right? So going to the Missouri game, just to go back to real quick, with 2:30 left in the game, Blake Hinson makes a 3 to bring the lead to 2. It's 62-64 Missouri at this point. Pitt would score 2 points in the last 2 minutes and 30 seconds, both off of Blake Hinson 1 for 2 free throw attempts. Then we go to the Clemson game, right? Blake Hinson makes a 3 to cut the lead to 4 with 4:25 left. Ish makes a layup to cut the lead to 2. Pitt would only score 2 more points in the rest of that game, and those are both 1 for 2 free throw attempts from Bub Carrington.
Yeah.
There is an issue with this team of closing out a game from behind. And I know that's a tough thing to ask, but when you're within 2 points in the final 3 minutes, in the final 2.5 minutes, you have to play your best basketball and not your worst. And it seems that the worst basketball for this team always tends to happen right at the end of the game.
They had the zoo into it and everything. It's not like we were playing on the road in a hostile environment.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I mean, I'm sure you can talk about it more than I can, Ken, but you could tell on the broadcast the student section was into it.
Yeah, not only student section. I mean, it was like I will say, having your ACC home opener the same day and time as the Steelers have a home game, not a smart move. Probably could have had a bigger crowd there if that weren't the case. Weather was terrible. The Steelers game got delayed a couple times, but there was still a decent number of Pitt fans there. The whole arena there, you could feel the energy. You could feel them coming back. The Clemson fans around me were for sure really quiet compared to they were a few minutes before that. The whole team had everybody behind them, a lot of excitement in the building, and they just flopped again. It was
they freaked us.
Do you guys want a spin zone? You want a spin zone for the Clemson game at least?
Sure.
Yeah.
We never beat Clemson.
That's the thing.
We were never going to win this game. Let's just get this one out of the way.
Basketball never loses a Pitt. So
that's Clemson is our kryptonite. They're our kryptonite in the ACC. We'll get our first ACC win or first ACC loss out of the way, and now we'll go win a couple more games. It was just that's all.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like moving forward. It's like nothing we can do. Got to turn around and play a very big game on Wednesday in Morgantown.
Sunday. Is it Sunday? It is Wednesday. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's tomorrow. So 9 p.m. tip, blackout game. Shout out Bob Huggins in Morgantown. So it's like, as much as you want to dwell on this and hang your head, it's like, no, like, bro, get in the gym, work on some free throws, beat this team. You haven't beaten West Virginia basketball in a minute.
That's another team that we never beat, and they're just like not that good.
Yeah,
And
like this is our year to beat them in their house. Man up,
commanding
to win badly.
It's to the point where I don't think we've beaten them since we were both in the Big East. You need to. I don't know how it feels for you. Obviously, losing these games stinks, but you could provide a lot of goodwill by beating West Virginia in their house on their, giveaway shirt night or whatever. And I don't know. I think the only way to really, cover your wounds here is to beat West Virginia. You need this win because you do not get any other quality out of conference opponents with this schedule.
And I think West Virginia is still down Kirk Krissa, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
And their transfer that applied for a waiver for immediate eligibility got denied this week, and that was like kind of big news. Jay Billis was like, so a lot of people were like upset, basically, that his waiver got denied. Jay Billis, obviously a very prominent name in the college basketball world, was like tweeting about it today. So they are down a couple guys, and just honestly, this is a team that Pitt should beat. This is a very big opportunity for them to bounce back and just get some swagger back, dude. Like, get some confidence. They just need a win, dude. They like, it's to the point
contagious. Their wins are contagious.
Yeah, like you need it for the resume, but you also just need it for your confidence as a team moving forward. Like, but yeah, you hit it. You hit the nail on the head. Like, it's one ACC game. Got a lot of ACC basketball left. Can't hang your head on this. Like, you know you can play with these teams. You've had some close games. Yeah, they've all ended in losses, some tough losses. But it's like, you're not getting blown out. You're not getting, like, these are very winnable games, and it's a very good opponent. Clemson hasn't lost all year. They've beaten some good competition. And you were right there with them with a chance to win. Like, this is a good basketball team. I hope they keep their confidence up, and I just hope they start winning some basketball games, and they can figure some stuff out, and they can be consistent from the free throw line. But that is that is my rant.
Hell yeah, man. I mean, and yeah, I think, it sucks to lose in this way, but the ultimate thing is it's a fixable way to lose. You can shoot free throws better. You can not pass to Fede when it's crunch time, unfortunately, even though I think Fede's a good person, but it's not a good idea. I don't know. Mason, anything else before we move on?
No, that's all. I've said my piece.
I guess just another last big adjustment for the team moving forward. I know it's not like black and white, but the role players need to shoot better. It's like you're relying on Blake Hinson Blake Hinson kept them in this game. He was unreal from three. He had 27 points, I think. He was hitting some tough threes. He hit some tough threes in the Missouri game that kept him in it. Like, you're getting your role players, your Diaz Graham twins, your Leggett's, some of these other guys with open looks, and they're just not shooting well. And they're capable of shooting well. I don't know. They need some of these role players to step up and hit some shots. So, not the easiest thing in the world to fix, obviously. Some days are not your days shooting, but it's been too many games in a row now where they're not shooting with confidence in the second half. So,
yeah, if there's one role player I'd like to see step up, it would be one of the Diaz Graham twins, just to have at least another scoring threat that makes, your opponent just pause even for a little bit and think twice about how they're going to defend this guy. That is what could really make this team not like less predictable, but it just opens the floor up so much if they just one of them. It can be either or. If they start hitting their shots just That's really the key that they need, I think. I mean, in terms of personnel-wise, obviously the free throws are the main thing here.
I agree. Another person I would like to see step up and take a little bit of another step forward would be Zach Austin. He's a freak athlete. He's capable of playing and scoring inside. He's also capable of shooting the three ball well, and he's consistently ending up with less than 10 points. He makes some very good plays each and every game and gets, some tough rebounds. I think he's capable of doing a lot more and being more involved than he currently is and putting up some more points to help this team on offense. So I would also just like to see some more from Zach Austin moving forward.
Yeah, get him involved. All right. No more thoughts on basketball?
That's it for now. We will talk next week after another game or two. So.
All right, before we get to football, the playoff, and the transfer portal, I'm going to kick it back to myself and Dom Campbell talking volleyball just 24 hours ago.
Do.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Simple 5 Podcast in the past. I'm with Dom Campbell. We're talking Pitt Volleyball. Dom, how are we doing tonight?
Doing great, Zach. How about yourself?
Honestly, I could be better. This is our 6th time trying this after my computer decided to continuously blue screen. I made an unactionable threat in a separate recording that will not be repeating here. But other than that, I guess we're doing okay. Let's talk some volleyball. Quick recap of the first couple rounds. Pitt Volleyball defends the home court. Oh, God. My PC's talking back to me. Shit. You? Okay, we're muted. Where was I? Where did I stop off?
You're starting to recap the first 2 matches.
So, quick recap of the weekend. Pitt defends their home court against Coppin State and number 25 USC, sweeping Coppin State in the first round and taking care of business against a pretty good USC team in the second round. So, let's start with that Coppin State team, that 3-0 sweep over Olivia Babcock's sister, right? Or is it Tori Stafford?
That was Tori Stafford's sister to Kenya. She played
there
for
we go. So,
cool.
The battle of sisterly love in Pittsburgh. Obviously, you go with the city of brotherly love across the state. Ours won. How about it?
Yeah, I mean, she had a great game as well. Her first NCAA tournament match. And, yeah, she did great. She had 11 kills and 12 digs. And she had a 550 hitting percentage. So very few errors. Really efficient. Just great all over the court, and that's what she's done all season. Obviously, all ACC first team and all freshman team. So she's been great. It was great for her and her sister to be able to play each other. I know her parents. I don't know them. I'm saying her no. I know her parents would have been kind of a bit annoyed to try to split who are they supporting in the first round. They'll be able to see both teams, and I think that was great. And yeah, I know you talked about in your last show with Kayla about how they're trying to keep schools close together. So obviously Coppin State's in Baltimore, so Pittsburgh and Baltimore are quite close. So that makes sense. So yeah, go back to the match. Yeah, she had a great match. I mean, Pitt went a little bit down early. I mean, they went down 6-2 in that first set, but they got a 10-3 run afterwards, and they kind of cruised from there. They really did they had a great match. Yeah, let's see what else they did in that match. They held Coppin State to a negative .099 hitting percentage, their best defensive effort of the season. It's the worst opponent hitting percentage against Pitt in the NCAA tournament under Dan Fisher. And it's also the third lowest against him in the 11 seasons he's been head coach since 2013. So really dominant performance defensively from Pitt. So just forcing errors and not allowing the other opponent, not allowing Coppin State to get any kills. Gotta have a credit to Rachel Fairbanks. She had 36 assists in 3 sets, which is the 8th most for Pitt in an NCAA tournament match. And that's about 12 assists per set, so that's pretty damn impressive. And she also finished second with 4 total blocks. Again, we talk about versatility on this Pitt team. Rachel Fairbanks really does bring that every time she's on the court. Anything else to really talk about?
So question for you, just because I'm still sort of a volleyball novice, right? That negative hitting percentage, that's when you're forcing teams to hit the ball out of bounds or
yeah, it's a lot of errors. So the way hitting percentage works is your kills, total attacks, and then it's kills minus your errors. So if you have 10 kills, 30 attacks, that would be 300 percentage, right? But if you have 5 errors, it's now 5 out of 30. So that would be 1/6. So,
Right. Okay.
which is like, I can't remember, like 12%. It would be lower, right? So, essentially, that's what hitting percentage is. And you want to be hitting, depending on who's hitting. I mean, middle blockers are towards the net, so they have the chances they have are more high percentage. Outside hitters like Valeria Vasquez Gomez and Tori Stav are going to be hitting generally further back, so they'll still be able to create chaos, but they're not going to have as many kills. Might make a mistake here and there, but they're taking a bit more dangerous opportunities. But they're also better at doing that, which allows them to play throughout the entire court where they rotate. They'll be good. So, yeah, that's how hitting percentage works. If anyone is curious, you can always ask me later. But yeah, like it's a bit annoying initially, but yeah, kill percentage. If you ever see kill percentage, it doesn't mean anything. It's only hitting percentage is the only thing that matters. Don't worry about kill percentage. That's another
So this
stat.
is sort of like a batting average versus
Slugging percentage.
yeah.
Slugging doesn't mean anything. We're doing a hitting. How are you batting?
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, honestly, like you said, it was just sort of this is a number 1 seed playing a 16 seed. Like, obviously, we expected to win. Is what happened. They swept them. I mean, where it gets interesting really is that second round set where I said that they went down 1-0, and it's not like they were uncompetitive in that first set of the second match against USC, right? It was a 25-23 loss, and then they end up rebounding and then just kind of a gentleman's sweep, get USC off the court, you know?
Yeah, they were down that second set. I mean, they went down a few times in that first set. They came back, but USC managed to take it down, and it was a bit. The vibes were not great in the Peterson Event Center at that point. It was not great. And then when they went down 16-12 in that second set, I mean, it was not good, but they got their block going. No, I think they were down 16-12, yeah, 14-10, 16-12 in the second set. So that's not good. You don't want to be down there because 25 is obviously the goal. So Pitt they didn't have any blocks prior to that point. They got their block going. And if you know anything about Pitt and blocking, one of the best teams in the country at it. Olivia Babcock, right side hitter, is not only good at smashing the ball into opponents' faces, she's also obviously 6'5". She can block. Chiamaka, Wokolo, and Emma Monks, middle blockers, they can block. And you can even have Tori Stafford and Valeria Vasquez Gomez as outside hitters. They will come and block too. So a lot of great talent. And then, like I just said with Rachel Fairbanks, she can make blocks. So the Pitt's block is so great. When they finally got that going, they tied it up at 16, and then Babcock and Emma Monks did really good together. They got some blocks, and they eventually won the second set, and then they really just turned it on from there, like you said. I mean, that third set, they went up by a bunch. They went up trying to go back and let me see. Yeah, they went up 17-7 and eventually held on for a 25-18 set victory. They hit 481 in that third set, so that was really dominant. The fourth set, they went up a lot too, but then USC kind of tied it back at like 14, I think. So it was a bit like, what's going to happen here? But then Pitt scores 6 straight points, 24-14. They take the set, take the match. A tough opponent for Pitt. I mean, Skylar Fields is one of the best. I know you talked about with Kayla Lund. She's one of the best outside hitters in the country. It's going to be an All-American. She had a ton of kills this year. She had more than 20 kills against Pitt. They held her to 200 hitting percentage, so a few errors, so a good job there, but she was still dominated regardless. And but yeah, great for Pitt. I mean, they had a great match, and trying to see what else I can take from that match.
Well, I was going to say, like, as far as Skylar Fields goes, she hit 200%, which is well below what, where she wants to be as like an All-American player, right? And they did a great job of forcing her into errors and not allowing her to get kills. But I think like the rest of USC's team was hovering around 0 or in the negative for hitting percentage throughout that match.
Yeah, they were pretty poor. I mean, like 200 was the highest really from any starter, and then like 130, then 0, a bunch of negatives, so lots of errors all around. Which is, as a Pitt fan, when you see an opponent with a negative hitting percentage, like we talked about the Coppin State match, that's really good. That's what you want teams to be doing. It's as much as you want to be smashing the ball and getting great kills and great blocks and service aces, you want your opponent to make mistakes. That's how you win matches, because you can't. It's not sustainable to get a kill every single point. You're not going to get like 75 kills over 3 matches. You're going to rely on a lot more other things to make your opponent make mistakes. And yeah, they did well defensively, especially after that first set, and they just dialed it in and really did a great job to win that match. So credit to them for getting to their 4th straight Sweet 16.
There we go. And like you said, like you're trying to get your opponent to make mistakes, and it's the fear of that Pitt block, right? Because you can't go into the teeth of it. There's a great chance they're just going to send that ball back the other way. So, players are trying to hit around this block, and that's where you get these high error percentages, because if you're trying to go around the block, there's a greater chance that you're going to end up hitting it out of bounds. And that's basically what this team is built on defensively. I mean, I know Emma Klicka is a fantastic libero and just seems to have a highlight dig every single match. But, that's not the whole defense. It's really just that amazing block that really sets up everything that they do defensively.
Yeah, I mean, he's amazing. Dan Fisher thinks he's one of the best passers on the team. Yeah, she is. She really is that good. She's everywhere on that court, and especially in the back row. She's just everywhere. She makes any of these crazy digs. You think, oh wow, like that's amazing. She's just like, it's another day in the office for me. Really, she's really just comes out of nowhere and makes these great plays. That's why she's libero. That's why she's starting. She started towards the end of last season, and she's deserved it. And she's been the best libero Dan's probably ever had. I really don't think anyone even comes close. She's that good. And I know like the dig numbers aren't high, but really Pitt's a good team. They're not going to have high dig numbers. ABC, the teams with the highest dig numbers, are generally not very good for the most part. Some teams rely on a lot of digs, but when you're Pitt and you're blocking a lot and you're forcing a lot of errors, you're not really relying on digs to save you defensively. And that's fine. I mean, however teams want to play, but Pitt's not a team that relies on digs. And even when they need it, they have players to come through for them like Emmy.
Yeah, like you got to it, but the fact that their defense relies more on the block is going to obviously create less dig opportunities. It's just that the dig opportunities that Emmy has are just happen to be highlight level digs when they do hit around the block. So it's just always fun to watch her play and try and dig those balls out there like 3 rows into the stands. I know that's a little bit exaggerating, but we'll let that one slide. Do you want to talk about their next matchup, 2:30 on Thursday?
Yeah, so big matchup against Washington State. Pretty solid team. Not a lot of familiar opponents between the two teams. Obviously Oregon. Pitt lost to Oregon, but Oregon's a really good team. Pitt, that was early in September, so not really applicable to now. Pitt's only played Washington State one time in recent history. That was 2021 down in Columbia, South Carolina. They won in 4 sets, but again, the team 21 is not the same team in 2023.
Yep.
Their best player, let me bring up her name. It's not easy to pronounce, but I spent like 20 minutes pronouncing her name. She's from the Czech Republic. Her name is Magdalena Jelahasheva. It doesn't seem like that if you look at her name, but she's a 5th-year middle blocker, one of the best in the country. She had 15 kills, 10 blocks, and a 750 hitting percentage against Dayton in the second round, and they won in 4 sets. It was an incredible match to watch her play, but she really is that good. She's like a 5-time Pac-12 Player of the Year. Well, not Player of the Year, but she's on the team.
Pac-12?
Yeah, all Pac-12. Let's see. She's 13th in the country with 1.39 blocks per set. She's number 6 in the country with a 431 hitting percentage. She's the career leader in the Pac-12 in blocks, and also the best in the NCAA history in terms of the rally scoring era. So I think like 2001 or 2008. I can't remember which year it starts, but she's been good in recent history, essentially, is what I'm trying to get at. And yeah, 3-time All-American. She'll be on All-American again. I can't see her not being one. And yeah, she's a fantastic player. Other players that are good, I mean, 5th-year outside hitter Pia Timmer, the German, 4-time All Pac-12. She was an All-American 2021, All-Freshman team 2019. That's a player for Pitt fans to look out for. But they're a tall team. They're a big team. They will match up with Pitt as good as any team and any really good team. This is Sweet 16. These are the top 16 teams for the reason. There really weren't that many upsets. I don't think. I mean, let me look through the list. I think it's all 1. I think it's all 1, 2.
I think the lowest was a 5, maybe.
Besides Arizona State, every other team is 1 through, and Georgia Tech. It's like the 5 seeds the lowest, which is not really a big difference between 4 and 5. So like, this is the time of year that you're going to be looking at really, really good teams. But yeah, I mean, they're a good team. I think Pitt's better, but that's just because Pitt's the damn good volleyball team. I'll obviously have some more on them as I do a bit more of a deep dive. I did some last night, so that's what I have for the most part. They did beat Dayton in 4 sets. Dayton was a good team, and they did it obviously in their own house. They swept Grand Canyon in the first round, so they are a very good team. They will bring a really good challenge for Pitt, and I know Dan Fisher will have that team ready because it's not going to be an easy one. Everyone's looking for that Louisville match, but we'll get that in a second. But it's not for certain yet. They got to win that Sweet 16 match.
Yeah, no, I'm not in the business of looking ahead and like jinxing a team because I've done it one too many times. It just been and like, oh, I caused this. This is my fault. But I mean, it is. I think the most interesting thing to see here is the height, and obviously, Coppin was a mid-major team, so you're not going to learn a lot. And then USC was really like a one-player band with Fields. Now we're getting to these top 16 teams, these more well-rounded teams, and then like you said, the height. The height is what is the most interesting matchup here. Is because obviously, like our freshmen can get up and hit the ball, but I wonder how the height plays a factor into like the block. Because obviously you're getting shots from higher up. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
On how you're asking me on how like height plays a major factor in blocking.
Like, would you think that a taller team would have an easier time getting around like the formidable Pitt block?
It depends. I mean, Pitt's block is interesting because they're very athletic. So like against Wisconsin last year, I got bored and I watched the whole like match again at some point because I was like, how did they beat this team? Like, why is Wisconsin so good? And they're really, really big. They're a big team. Like Anna Smrek's like 6'9". That's like 4 inches bigger than any Pitt players. That's big. She's a big woman, and she's very good. She's one of the best players in the country. But Pitt was quicker. If you watch that match, Pitt was a quicker, faster team, and they did things. I mean, obviously the service game was a big part of it, but they really did things that put like Wisconsin out of their comfort zone because like most teams aren't really ready to play them. They're pretty scared to play Wisconsin. But Pitt went into their own backyard, their own gym, and was like, okay, we're going to play quick, we're going to play fast, we're going to play dominant. And that's what they did. And then like, but to be fair, most teams are not beating a big block. Like most teams are not getting around Anna Smrek. They haven't, like Wisconsin's lost like with her playing one game. That was against Nebraska in 5 sets in Nebraska, who's the number 1 overall seed in the tournament. So like they're a good team. Now, granted, Pitt will not be playing Wisconsin in this bracket. Just to remind everyone, they're not going to Madison, so no more. They don't have to go to Madison to play them. They could face them in the national title game, but in terms of, going back to the original point, it's important. You got to be tall, you got to be big. But to be fair, Chiamaka Wokolo is like 6'1", but she jumps. She's a good jumper. She can jump high, and really, it's how athletic you are, how tall you are, how quick you can move. Because so much of blocking is like knowing where your attacker is and just getting there, hands up, right time, and getting it down. Because if you're too low, you'll get your hands on something, and then if it goes out of bounds, it'll be off you. If you're too quick, you'll get blocked, and it'll go right into your stomach, and that's obviously a point against you. So knowing how to time the block is really what separates not just the good players, but the great players from the decent ones. So that's how Pitt does a really good job. I think Dan Fitch is a tall guy. He's played volleyball. He knows how to instruct the girls and how to play, and they do a really good job blocking, and it's obviously come true this year.
Yeah, for sure. See, do I have anything else?
Creighton, Louisville, noon. If you guys are, obviously, I know people think Pitt's just going to beat Washington State, but if they do, they will face the winner of Creighton and Louisville at noon on Thursday. That is on TV. I think ESPN2. The Pitt game will be on ESPNU.
Yep.
And they are at the Fitzgerald Fieldhouse. Tickets go on sale at 10 a.m. on Tuesday. If you don't have tickets and you're trying to get them in public sale, good luck. God bless you, because I don't know how you're getting tickets. I think they might all be sold out. But rumor has it there might be some standing room only tickets that they'll be selling. I don't know how the hell it's going to work in the Fitzgerald Fieldhouse, but it might work.
They would have to put them at either end of the court, right? So you're kind of in danger of just getting smacked in the face with a volleyball, which could be fun. It feels like you're part of the match, right?
Well, against Oregon, I didn't accidentally get in the match. I don't know if I remember telling you this. I actually touched the ball for a while out of bounds. I got yelled at for that, but by the Oregon coach. Yeah, I don't do that. Luckily, I won't have. So like usually I'm on the scorer's table. That's why I thought it was out of bounds. It wasn't. To be fair, it wasn't really like they were going to do anything anyways. But still, I shouldn't have touched it. But whatever. It wasn't the end of the world. They won the match. So thankfully, Oregon didn't come and destroy me after the match. Anyways, but
listen. All we got to learn from that is that if you get transferred to Eugene, right? If they send you out in a store, you're probably not going to get a press pass. They're going to put you up in the nosebleeds. You're going to have to be taking
But to be fair, I won't be on the scorer's table. They're going to have a whole media row if you come to the Fitzgerald Fieldhouse. It'll be behind. It's like behind the net, so there's just a whole line of media. It'll be like me, some other people that'll come, and we'll have a whole media row.
Like a
Kinda,
vertical line or like a
yeah, so it's like the net's here, and then on one side of the net, behind the court, that'll be there. So I guess the ball could come to us on the media row, but I won't. It's not. It's gonna. We're so high up to some extent. We'll be like higher up. They'll have us like on a little bit of pedestal, but not in the bleachers. So it'll be interesting to see how everything works out. But yeah. What else? That'll be a great match. Creighton Louisville. I'm really excited for that. I know people are thinking Louisville is just going to win that, but Creighton's a good team, man. It's a Nebraska team. They worship volleyball over there. More important than any religion. So yeah, if you have time to go to that match, if for some reason you don't have work on Thursday, yeah, come out to that because I don't. Yeah, it kind of stinks that the match is at 2:30 because like I don't know who's going to watch that. Like I know fans will be there, but like it's hard to ask someone to get to a 2:30 match.
Yeah. I definitely prefer it to the 10 o'clock time slot I think they have for the West Coast teams, but
it's 11:30 p.m. for a Stanford match. Their match that's Eastern. That's so late. Like it's like Pac-12 after dark. The last one though, that's might be the last Pac-12 volleyball match ever. Oh. Arizona State, Stanford. It's crazy to think of that might be the last one ever.
All right, so we're staying up late on Thursday, everybody. This is your mission. We're staying up late.
We're watching volleyball all day long. Forget the Steelers game because Lord knows no one wants to watch them play.
God, no.
We're watching volleyball all day long and Saturday too, because I think Pitt will win in 4. That's my prediction.
Pitt in 4? Okay. I'm not in the business of giving predictions because all my predictions become wrong in horrible ways. Thanks for hopping on last minute. Thanks for sitting through my computer issues. Want to hit your plugs?
Yeah, it's Dom Campbell on Twitter. Dom is money. Yeah, no, silly, but it's easy to find me. A lot of volleyball content from me. I'll have some stuff up soon, previews. I unfortunately won't be able to talk to Dan before Wednesday. So if you're listening to this on Tuesday or Wednesday, I won't be able to talk to him until about 5 p.m. on Wednesday. So won't have much before Thursday for the most part. I'll try to get a preview up, maybe a feature I have done, so you guys can get some good volleyball content going. But yeah, I got all the Pitt Volleyball you need. You have any questions, you can DM me on the Dom is Money on Twitter. Check out Pittsburgh Sports Now. All my stuff will be on there. And yeah, just keep following the team. They're fun to watch. If they make it to Tampa, I will be there as well. But we'll have some more stuff on. If they win the Sweet 16, I'm pretty sure we'll talk to Zach again. We'll talk about the potential matchup in this Elite 8. So it should be fun. Exciting time for Pitt Sports. I know Pitt football was not great, but come support Pitt Volleyball. It's fun.
Come support Pitt Volleyball. Come support a championship-winning team. Follow the best Pitt beat writer in the nation on that volleyball squad. Dom is money over at Pittsburgh Sports Now. And we're going to kick it back to the present.
Present day. Present time.
All right, thank you to my past self for that nice little interview. Thank you, Dom, for coming on again. And we're back to talk football. First item on the docket is the transfer portal. It officially opened. Was it today or yesterday? I think it was yesterday.
The transfer portal's open in Fansville.
Dude, can I transfer to a different college football team? No, I'm kidding. I would never. I guess the first real big news is 3 really big names are staying for their final year eligibility. That's Gavin Bartholomew, Rodney Hammond, and Deion Hayes. 3 huge pieces, 2 of whom, Gavin and Rodney, were completely mismanaged last year, or really the last 2 years by Frank Spagnetti. And Deion Hayes, who is one of the best, he's now our best returning defensive lineman who can really help get that D-line back to the quality we expect it to be.
I think that Alliance 4-1-2 had a pretty big part in keeping those guys around. So shout out to – I don't know how they raise their money, but
I think they ended the month with like $700K or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how they do that, but I don't know. Someone dropped a bag somewhere. I'm just glad that Rodney, Gavin, and Theon, I would say, are like pretty handily some fan favorite players. And the fact they get to finish out their playing career at Pitt, it does mean something to me. I'm happy to see it. And like, we don't know who the offensive coordinator is going to be yet, but I would think that something in whoever they're hiring, who they're looking for, is being able to use your best skill players effectively. Like we talked about this, I think our last episode, but Gavin never reached or he never surpassed his career highs in catches, yards, or touchdowns in a single season after his freshman year. He set all those his freshman year. And the biggest part of it was because Gavin was played as an inline guy instead of like a flexed out or an H-back kind of guy. So you have to think that like with these guys coming back, they were made like some sort of promise, or maybe they know who the OC is already, but they have to have some sort of idea that they're not going to be sidelined in their NFL year. This is their final year of eligibility. If they don't get that tape out, it's a lot harder to get to the league,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even though Pitt hasn't officially announced their OC, you have to think that Narduzzi has been in conversation with them. I think there were some rumblings even before the season ended, after one of the games, that Narduzzi was talking to Gavin, theoretically just saying, we're going to get this right. Next year, we're going to bring in somebody that's going to use you more effectively. And then since the season ended, they know who it's probably going to be. And they know that it's going to be more effective for them to get some more NFL-worthy tape, in this upcoming year.
I will say, speaking on the OC, I kind of have a good idea of who it might be. Sort of undefeated way of breaking the news before it happens is going through someone's Twitter followers and seeing what team they follow, especially in college athletics. If a recruit's going to flip to a school or if a coach is leaving, they're going to follow all the players right before they leave and then make the announcement official, which I never get why you would do that before. You got people got to learn, make the follows after you make the jump. But the number one name that, or at least one of the names that was linked to the job, and now there seems to be fire where there's smoke, is Georgia passing game coordinator Brian McClendon. He's also the wide receivers coach. He's been at Georgia for 2 stints, both with Rick and Smart. He was the OC at South Carolina for a couple of years. He's also out at Oregon. You have a ton of Pitt guys following him, as well as their offensive assistant, Brandon Streeter. So you have to think that those 2 guys in some capacity are coming over to the Pitt staff. I mean, when defensive players are following offensive coaches, you got to think there's a reason they're doing that. I think it was a Jimmy Scott who was following both of them. So,
yeah, that if that is who it is, love the hire.
Yeah, I'd be happy with it.
Passing game coordinator is crazy to think about. We're gonna have a passing offense, maybe. I like it coming from arguably. I mean, I know they didn't probably end the season the way they wanted to, but arguably one of the best programs in the entire country. You don't rise up in a program like that if you don't know your shit. So it's a little different, from coming from Boston College, Frank. But yeah,
I mean, anybody tied to the Dogs, that's a initial. Before I even look into the guy, I like it.
Yeah, I tried looking into like his offense at South Carolina, and it seems that in 2017 he had the throw it to Debo button, and then in 2018 he did not have the throw it to Debo button. So I don't know what it's going to look like because he's had so many jobs under so many different guys between then. I think he probably learned a lot from who's your OC for the Ravens, Kent?
Todd Monken
when he's at Georgia in 22. But yeah, like getting a guy from like a winning culture just means a lot, especially after a year like last year.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, the Ravens offense, I know we're talking pro versus college, but the Ravens offense looks significantly better under Todd Monken coming from Georgia in his first year than the run-heavy coordinator they had previously. So, if we get a guy that's learning under that guy and he wants to come and go from a passing coordinator at Georgia to being our OC, I like the sound of that.
Hell yeah, man. Last player here who is announced by Alliance 412 is coming back is left tackle Branson Taylor. I have probably said a lot of mean things about him on this podcast, but I'm willing to. Well, I don't really do this, but I'm wiping the slate clean. If you're coming back, you're a new player to me. So those are the big returning guys.
That's big of you, Zach. Very big of you.
Takes a big man, and he's a big guy.
He's a bigger man. He's a bigger man.
He's a bigger man. So he's got to be forgiving me left and right, man. No. As far as draft departures go, obviously you had some guys who are out of eligibility who've left. Marquez Williams, just want to shout out him. One of the most underrated players who ever went to Pitt. He was a shutdown corner for 2 years. Teams are terrified to throw his way. He talked shit on the internet, backed it up. Just shout out. Malcolm Epps is gone. AJ Woods, Devin Green, Tyler Bentley, and Devin Danielson all out of eligibility. And then the surprising one here is Bub Means. Bub Means has entered the 2024 NFL draft. I thought he could have used another year, but hey, man, I will be rooting for him to find a home in the NFL either way.
Yeah, I'm tough to really tell where he'll go. Got to hope he has a good combine.
Yep.
Because I think even he would say he probably didn't have the year that he wanted, but I could see him being pretty solid NFL talent.
He is like a physical freak, so you would think that if he has a good combine, it could really help him.
Yeah. I mean, his 40 time could be pretty good.
Elite.
I'm pretty sure his vert was they did stuff.
A pro day, maybe?
No, it was I think it might have just been a clip where they were doing testing and they showed his vert and it was pretty wild. I might have just incepted that in my brain, but I swear I feel like that's not something.
Are you talking about the clip of Doran Dickerson doing a vertical jump in front of the entire volleyball team and still having the best hops of anyone in the room?
I don't think so. No, it wasn't that. Dude, it was so long. It was a while ago, so I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but
you said it'd be.
You'll be on the lookout.
Bub got bounce, believe me.
Bub got damn. All right, damn. All right, last up here, right before we talk about the playoff, people who are leaving in the portal. First group of guys here are people who are just looking for playing time somewhere else, whether they're freshmen or just buried on the depth chart. That's wide receiver Addison Copeland, safety Buddy Max, safety Stephen Hall, linebacker / wide receiver Aiden Henningham, running back TJ Harbison, and offensive lineman Trey Anderson. Also have some players who I've said very mean things about are transferring out of the program. That would be linebacker Bengali Kamara and defensive end Nate Temple. Leave it there. They're out of the program. Brandon George left, senior linebacker with 1 year of eligibility remaining. I think he got pushed up by younger guys. We'll never know. And then the last two guys are the ones that are kind of interesting to talk about. I'll start here with DeAndre Jules, defensive tackle with 1 year of eligibility remaining. On paper, I think this doesn't seem that bad. He was pretty good in the run game. I don't think he really made that much of an impact in the pass game. One thing about this line is that they got pushed around a lot, so I don't really mind seeing them leave. But with him leaving and the other guys who I said before declaring for the draft being out of eligibility, the D tackle is a really, really thin room. You've got now redshirt junior Elliot Donald, Sean Fitzsimmons, Thomas Aiden, a redshirt freshman Isaiah Neal, and then 2 incoming freshmen. So that's only 6 guys as true D tackles. Maybe you move a guy like Bam Brema, who's listed at 270 pounds inside, but this is concerning, is that we're going to have suspect interior D-line depth coming off a year where our interior D-line wasn't very good.
Yeah, that's not great, especially when you're used to having, the defensive front that we have come to love over the last few years. So we, hopefully get some.
I mean, transfer portal works both ways.
Yeah.
We've never really had the need to go out and get guys at that area because we were so deep. So it'll kind of be all right, what are we going to do now that we got a couple spots that maybe dudes could come and how can we evaluate talent from the college to college level instead of high school to college?
Yeah, no, you know what? That's true. I mean, I haven't said this yet, but we haven't added anyone in the portal yet. It's kind of, it's a little early, but you're right. if there's a position of need, they're going to go find a guy to fill that position need. I mean, going, over the years, right, they've found a lot of spot guys from the portal like Lucas Krull, Tyler Wiltz, Marcus Minor, Nathan Peterman, MJ Devonshire, all these guys who they plucked out of the portal and ended up working out at Pitt. I mean, right now it just seems negative because we're only here to talk about departure just because there's been no additions added.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're a D lineman in the portal, Pitt's a pretty attractive spot based on how much NFL talent they churn out. That
Kalijah Cansey's out there. He was like defensive player or NFC defensive player of the week or something like that.
Yeah.
He's doing really well for the Bucs. Like Aaron Donald.
Ever since he came back from his injury, he's been balling.
So yeah, you're right, Kent. Even if you're only there for a year, I think still being in that room with the way that what we can do with some of those athletes is very attractive to people out there in the portal.
Yes, sir. And then last thing on the portal, and then we'll get to the playoff. The really surprising one, the one that really sucks the most, Samuel Okamola hit the portal. He is by far the biggest loss, the one that I'm really the most upset about. He's tied for the team's lead in sacks last year. He was one of the sole reasons that Pitt was able to upset undefeated Louisville. He looked like he was going to be the next really good one. And he's in the portal now, and you can tell that he's really good based on like some of these transfer offers he's getting on Twitter. Like he's got Mizzou and Ole Miss offering him to play in the SEC. He's got undefeated Florida State offering him. If I had to guess, his younger brother plays for Miami, and I think that's where he's going to land. If I had to guess, it does suck to lose a guy like this, but I don't want to dwell on it because it is a deep room. But got to talk about the news, right?
Yep.
All right, playoff.
Let's do it.
Okay. I think Florida State got screwed. Do you both agree with me, or are you wrong?
I do.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say. I think all the arguments everybody's seeing online are because they think Florida State's the more deserving team. Alabama's the better team. I don't think those things have to be mutually exclusive. I think they can both be true. That being said, Florida State's more deserving. They deserve to be in.
Right. I mean, when you're talking about the playoff, how they've usually done it, right, is they take the four most deserving teams and then they seed them within, however it works out, right? Like if it was the four best teams, 2020 or last year's TCU team doesn't get in. They weren't respected by the committee. They certainly wouldn't have let Cincinnati in 2 years ago. And I mean, it above all else, it tells you that the games don't matter if Alabama's the 5 seed. Because what's funny is like Bama loses their one out of conference game to stand on, but they're still let into the fucking playoff. And then Florida State wins their two big out of conference games against SEC teams, beats LSU by more than Bama did, by the way, with a fully healthy Jaden Daniels, and then they get left out because they happen to have to play their third string quarterback in a title game when they're going to get their second string guy back for the playoff. He was dealing with a concussion, not another broken leg, and it just fucking sucks. It's like the committee thinks that the SEC should be in every year. If the SEC isn't in, they fucked up. Did you know that the SEC had the worst record against other Power 5 leagues this year?
Yeah.
It wasn't a very good league outside the top. And what's funny is they punished Georgia because Georgia didn't have a leg to stand on out of conference. The best team they beat was probably Georgia Tech. They played a bunch of cupcakes other than that, but the same rules don't apply to Alabama because they just get a handicap, and I'm pissed about it.
Yeah, and it wasn't like Bama was looking particularly great against a lot of other opponents this year either.
Needed a miracle to beat Auburn.
Yeah,
the Auburn team that got ran over by New Mexico State.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of very close games.
USF, they played USF close.
You know who beat USF by more points? Who scored more points on USF? Navy. Yeah. Navy scored quadruple the amount of points. No, sorry. triple the amount of points that fucking Alabama did on the USF. Jesus.
You're 100% right, though, Kent. They're making them out to be like this juggernaut when they've been winning games. They haven't been playing great ball.
Yeah. I saw this guy arguing that, Alabama would beat this Florida State team by 3 touchdowns. And then somebody was like, Alabama hasn't beaten anybody by 3 touchdowns all year. And he was like, oh, you're right.
It's like, I think it's such a stupid way to look at the sport is like, well, we should put the best teams that Vegas thinks is the best teams in the playoff. Like, no, that's stupid. If we did that, we would play 12 spring games, and then the team with the best recruiting rankings would get into the playoff.
Yeah.
Like, the sport's not about fucking – it's so disingenuous, right? Because teams with their backup quarterback have won the fucking playoff before. Ohio State did it.
That was Cardell Jones. 12 games.
Cardell Jones was a third stringer. God. And I think this is only going to get worse. I mean, I'm looking at the final college football playoff rankings from this year, right? First off, the highest ranked G5 team, undefeated Liberty, is at 23. They're still going to give no respect to any team that doesn't play in now the Power 4 conferences. But if you look at who's on the edges, right? LSU's at 13 with a Heisman finalist that, has an elite unit on one side of the ball. Obviously, a bad defense. We talked about it. And then Penn State and Ole Miss would be in. Both of those teams won all the games they were supposed to and then did not impress at all against other playoff caliber teams. Like, if it were up to me, teams like Penn State and Ole Miss would not be in the playoff. I'd put in Arizona. I'd put in LSU over teams that if you don't win any games against these playoff caliber teams, why should you get a mulligan and try and do it again?
Yeah, there's a lot that's wrong with it. A few things I'll mention. One thing that hurts Florida State, Louisville lost to Kentucky. That did not help them. Florida State didn't, even though they ended up winning by 10, they just didn't look particularly great against Louisville. Like, it's all a bunch of like hypothetical, like next week they might get blown out, but their resume, they earned it. Like 99% of this team is intact. They went 13-0. They were a very good football team all year, and you're cheating a lot of very good football players out of a chance to play in a playoff. So I just feel really bad for everybody else on that team. Like
Jordan, I think Jordan Travis said this, like the quote he gave about, I wish I broke my leg earlier so you could see that this team is not just one guy. It's like 90 guys.
Yeah.
And that's the point. Like, right? If you're applying the same metrics of, well, Florida State didn't look good in one game against Louisville, which I will say their defense looked championship level.
Yeah.
And their quarterback 3 is not their quarterback 1 moving forward. But if you apply the same metrics to Bama, right? Like I mentioned earlier, they needed a miracle to beat a 6-6 Auburn team that lost at home to New Mexico State the previous week. Not only did they need a miracle, they needed a defensive fuck-up and a special teams fuck-up to even get in that position. Then they beat Arkansas by 1 score. You mentioned the USF game. They looked like shit against Texas A&M, who fired their fucking head coach. And I'm going to get a little conspiratorial.
Like, who's in the playoff with them?
I think Texas earned it. I think the other 3 spots they got right.
I agree. I'm just saying, like, they lost to a playoff team. Like, I don't know.
It's like what I was saying with Penn State and Ole Miss, right? Like, they lost to the playoff team. They don't have any other legs to stand on at a conference.
They got whopped. They got blown out by the playoff team in their house.
In their house. They got beat by 10 points at their fucking home field. Do you mind if I get a little conspiratorial on you for a second?
Go for it.
ESPN is fucking cornhole in the ACC right now. They are trying to blow this shit up. So after a year where, the TV networks blew up the Pac-12, all of a sudden one of the punishments for FSU is that they're saying that the SEC is a better league than the ACC. And who owns the SEC? It's fucking ESPN. They're just trying to bring all the best teams in. It's like this stupid Super League bullshit. But You know what? Did you see the clip going around today from Herb Street where they described this exact scenario where Bama wins, Texas won, and Florida State won? And this is before the Jordan Travis injury. He would have Bama in over Florida State.
Yeah,
Just
it's so
the
messed up.
tinfoil is the tinfoil is cutting up my scalp, but genuinely, I do think that like ESPN has some fucking motive to try and get Florida State and Clemson and UNC into their big money making conference because fucking did it to the Pac-12. Is the ACC going to say no?
Yeah, it sucks. And I think another pretty big point that I think the committee knows or knew when they made this decision was that it's not going to be an issue next year. There's 12 teams. If there was another year of 4 teams, there would be so much controversy going into next year. There would be so much like leading up to the playoff reveal next year. But they know that next year there's 12 teams in. They're going to maybe have a similar situation with the 11th and 12th teams in the playoff. But you're not going to have a situation like this again where a team goes 13-0 in a Power 5 and they don't get in.
The debate at 11 and 12 is arguably will be even more controversial because that's where you're going to have a couple, one, even maybe 2 lost like teams down there. So that's going to be a whole other bag of,
that's a whole nother thing.
But I think wasn't there also a thing where kind of one of the whole reasons, to your point, Kent, that they didn't do a 12-team playoff this year was largely because of what do they call the group of the conferences? It's like the alliance or something like that.
I don't.
One of the main reasons that we didn't go to 12-team playoff this year was because of ACC, and is kind of what I took away from something that I was listening to. So it's kind of like an FU on the way out of the 4-team playoff. Again, kind of conspiracy theory thing here, Zach, but it's college football. I don't know. Not that crazy.
I could buy it, man. I mean, when you're talking about, like you said, the debate of like 10, 11, 12, like, do you think that like LSU fans with a Heisman contending quarterback are going to say, yeah, we should? I mean, I guess Ole Miss beat LSU, but like Penn State?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how much thought they actually put into those sort of rankings at
that's true. That's
right now. I think it's going to be looked at. That section is going to be looked at way closer next year, obviously.
But like when you think about it, right? Like this committee is like kind of bad at ranking teams. Like you have 4 lost teams like Tennessee and Clemson in the top 25 over an undefeated G5 team. These guys don't watch a lot of football games. I think they're bad at their jobs, and now their job got harder because they have to rank more teams. More teams matter. Like I genuinely think that the committee should be expanded. It should be a full-time job, and you cannot be a part of an athletic department being a part of this job. You just have to watch all the fucking games and take your fucking job seriously instead of just picking Alabama out of a hat because you didn't like how Florida State looked in one game.
Yeah, it's like they couldn't live with the fact that an SEC team wasn't going to be in the playoff. Like,
it's disgusting.
And they think the biggest spread is going to be better. Like, it's going to be a closer game, better ratings, more money. Like
some real quick clarity on what I was talking about earlier. The alliance was basically an agreement between the ACC, Big Ten, and Pac-12.
RIP.
When they first voted on 2023 12-team playoff, ACC, Big Ten, and Pac-12 were the ones that voted no. So Big Ten got in, obviously couldn't keep them out. Same for the Pac-12. ACC, not so lucky.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my final thought on this is that they had to fuck up really badly to make me feel bad for Florida State, a team who tries to leave our conference every year, holds on to the chop for dear life, and you make me feel bad for those assholes. Jesus Christ.
Ugh. You got it wrong. They got it wrong. I hope Alabama gets whooped. I don't think they will. Just because I
want them to get whooped.
I think the difference between the top 4 and the bottom 4 is probably closer this year than maybe ever. So it'll probably be a close game, but hoping Michigan can pull one out for us.
Yep.
Really, fucking steal them signs, baby. I need them to cheat their ass off to show the SEC a lesson. I was going to say something. I fucking forgot. I hope that Georgia sandbags in the bowl game, and then Florida State can claim an undefeated season, like sort of go UCF mode. I think we should announce them national champions. They can claim it from us.
Yeah. All these Florida schools, man.
What is in the water in Florida?
Title town, baby.
Title state.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
That's it for me.
That's going to do it from us tonight. If you like the show, follow us on Twitter at Simple5Pod. You can find all of your hosts' accounts in the show bio. If you like what I have to say about Pitt football, I do some writing. You can find the link in my Twitter bio. And with that, we'll see you next time.
Hail to Pitt.
Beat the Mountaineers.